And we're back for another exciting episode of the Creators Collective. I am having a lot of fun here, as you can tell by my voice and my exciting personality. How about you two? Are you two having fun?
The most fun. Yeah. Excitable boy.
So we're going to be doing, actually this week we don't have a guest, which is kind of, it's nice. We've had a guest the last 2 weeks and now we can just, let our hair down and relax a little bit.
You don't have any hair.
But we're going to be hitting a few fun things this week, and particularly this week, we're also hitting the Creators Photo Challenge. So prepare yourself for that, and we will be picking a winner and announcing the next photo challenge as well. So let's jump into it. Zach, you're not eating anything right now. What you got?
So I have been working on my truck a lot. I have been... I've said I have that other video pretty much ready to go, but secretly I knew I had a few videos to trickle over to my main channel, and I still had about a week's worth of work. So pretty much all last week I finished straightening up the passenger side box of the truck and got it in paint 2 days ago. Took a day off, and today I'm just right before this podcast, I'm getting ready to throw a new tailgate on there. And one of the bearings, I was a little bit flustered trying to get everything ready for this when we started. But, this is the joys of working on real vehicles versus, what you see on TV. One of the spindles that holds the tailgates on, it's like this big kind of bearing surface. And I tried to take that off with an impact, and it snapped. So, And it's not a part I can get anywhere. So I'm going to have to try and clean it up and weld it back together today. And yeah. I'll get it figured out, but it's just, you plan on something taking 4 hours and it's going to take you a day. It's just the way it goes when you're working on old stuff. But the good news is the box is going to be, hopefully by the end of the day, it's all going to be in paint and it's all going to be assembled and it's going to look really good. And I'm excited about that. That's going to be a video that'll come out in the next few weeks. Also, as far as what's new, I got some, it's really hot here in Florida already. So I ordered got a batch of heather gray shirts in. So for anybody who, wants, doesn't want to wear a black shirt, I have gray ones now too. So
heather gray is like my favorite.
It's a good color. Well, I feel like everything I own is black. So having, I have black jeans and like black boots. And so when I have a black shirt, it makes me look goth or something. So like a little bit of gray is a nice way to mix it up.
You remind me of a Ranted song.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. No Cadillac though.
No Cadillac.
But
it was a time bomb.
Yeah. But so actually, I should mention, if anybody's interested, ZH10 on my website, get you 10% off. So that'd be like $18 shipped. So if anybody wants a shirt, that's how to do it. What about you guys?
Shirt.
Man, I need to order shirts. That is one of the things on my list that I'm like, I gotta get shirts, but I always forget about it.
I use Teespring, which is cool because you can just add new designs all the time, but you don't have any physically there. So it's kind of like a third party where you design something, you put it out there, and then people order it, and then they do print runs on them, and then they just ship them out to whoever ordered them. So they never actually get into your shop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I'm just like dead set on the old school way. Like I know the guy he's like 30 miles from me. He makes my shirts and he mails them to me, and I don't know. There's a certain service, like he just mails them to me. He's like, pay me when you get a chance. And it's just kind of a cool, I don't know, feels nice and organic, even though it's more work on my part. I guess I like doing things the hard way.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to have shirts on hand. So, if you go to an event or, if you do the Creators Photo Challenge, and then you can just be like, I'll just send them a shirt, where I don't have any physically, but I also don't have any of the overhead of, the wrong sizes or anything like that. So,
yep.
Cool. Will, what you got?
Oh man. So I'm getting ready to go on vacation for basically 2 weeks. So that's been kind of stressful but exciting but stressful. I feel like it's twice as much work anytime you want to take any time off. But I just put out a jointer video on 5 different ways to use a jointer. That video is in collaboration with Grizzly Industrial. They sent me out their 8x72 spiral cutter head jointer. So I got that all set up, and I did a video on face jointing, edge jointing, chamfering, tapering legs like table legs, which is a pretty slick way to use a jointer that I could see being really, really, really efficient if you're making like 4 tables at once and you have to make, how many is that? 16 legs. I could see it being super efficient. And then rabbiting was the last thing. I'm still working on finishing my basement, just framing up walls and kind of retrofitting walls around existing plumbing. So that's been fun. I just finally got started on that walnut dining table. I got the top all milled up, cut to rough length, milled up the stock for that. I have it all dry fit, so it'll have breadboard ends, and I'll do that with loose tenon joinery, and I don't have a domino, so it's going to be a lot of router work and making my own loose tenons. And
are you going to be, is this for you, or are you doing this as a commission?
No, this is a commission. A woman, married couple, middle-aged married couple, had a farm about 20 minutes from me, right on the Rivanna River. It was beautiful. It was a 200-year-old home, and they had a walnut growing next to their detached garage that was like pelting the garage with walnuts, and the roots were about to disrupt the foundation of the garage, and so they had it taken down and milled some, I don't know, 7 years ago, and it's been drying in their garage, stickered and stacked. And so they just sold their farm, and they bought a smaller place in the city that they're renovating, and they wanted a memento from their farm. That's cool. And so they commissioned me to make a dining table out of this walnut, which is cool, but I feel like I get myself into these situations where the stock is less than ideal. So like the sapwood is pretty punky on it, so I'm having to like find the good bits of material and like to try to get this tabletop out of.
You doing any stabilizing resin?
Yeah, it's not
epoxy.
Yeah, it's not as far gone as that cherry project, that live edge cherry vanity project that I did. So there are just some small cracks and fissures and some knots I have to fill. But for the most part, I think I got all the punkiness out, but there might be like a few spots that I'll try to stabilize with something. But what else am I working on? Sorry, I'm like totally. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, me and my wife are going down to Charleston, South Carolina, where my best friend lives, and it just happens to be her birthday. And it also coincides with the High Water Music Festival, which is put together by Shovels and Rope, which is Carrie Ann Hurst and Michael Trent. A lot of really awesome bands that I'm really excited about. St. Paul and the Broken Bones are going to be there. Just a bunch of people. So I'm really excited about that. Then we fly back for a day, and then we get back on a plane to California for a day, where my wife's parents are. Then the next morning, we hop on a plane and go down to Laredo, Mexico, and we'll stay down there for a week, and then we'll fly back to San Diego, spend 2 or 3 days there, visiting family and friends, and then get back on a plane and head back across the country to Virginia and catch up on all the work that I will be missing. Also, this is like so silly, but I feel like it's life-changing. I've just been feeling really just worn down and not motivated lately. And I went to the store and I was picking up some new shorts and shirts for vacation, and I tried a new pair of shoes on, and like it was incredible how much better I felt with new shoes that weren't like worn out, and the sole, like they actually like supported me, and like my feet felt better, my legs felt better, my back felt better. And so if you've been like totally worn out, try a new pair of shoes. It was life-changing.
Sounds like you have a mended sole there.
Yeah, I'm like a new man.
And there's our joke for the week.
Oh, wow. That was over my head. That was really good.
It was under your feet, actually.
Oh, but James, what are you working on, man?
Well, I've been working on, get this, the glue test.
Still?
Yes. And if you're watching this live, the video will be out tomorrow at 11 Central Time. If you're watching this as a recorded podcast in the future to us, it will have been out. And so those of you who are in the future know the results. So I'm really, I'm absolutely jazzed about this. I finally have all of the tests done. I have all of the data in, and I'm going to be collating all the data a little later today. And there are some really surprising things that I'm going to talk about later. Actually, there's only the live people listening to this, so I can probably talk about a couple things if you guys want to hear it. No?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, give us a little snippet. Give us a highlight.
Okay. Well, let me do this. I have long grain to long grain test, long grain to end grain test, gap filling, and then exterior conditions. And let me start by this. What glue do you guys think did the best with gap filling? What's the glue out there that everyone says this is the gap filling glue?
Gorilla Glue, because it's foaming.
I would think epoxy would win pretty much everything. That would be my gut reaction.
The winner of gap filling was Titebond 3, actually.
No, Titebond, really quick, Titebond 1. I think I normally use Titebond 2. Titebond 1 is...
Titebond 2 was only a couple pounds underneath it. It was
what's just to refresh I find something that works and I stick with it, and then I forget why I stuck with it in the first place. Like, what's the difference between 1, 2, and 3? That might be useful for somebody.
There are a lot of ins and outs about what 3 does that 2 doesn't do, and some people say that 3 will stain your wood and 2 won't, and some people say 3 is better for exterior.
What's their pitch? Like, I think Titebond 1 has more working time than Titebond 2 or something.
I actually haven't seen their pitch, and the bottles have a lot of the exact same data on the 2.
Huh.
So
yeah,
I don't know what they're selling others, and they're saying that Titebond 3 is the next formula.
I think it's like open time or something.
From what I remember, Titebond 1 is like 0 like water stability. And it's like their original. Then they came out with Titebond 2 that just had better properties of everything. And then Titebond 3 they market as their outdoor glue.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll touch on that in a moment too, because that was really surprising. But the gap filling, Titebond 2 and Titebond 3 were 2 of them in the top 3. But 3 of the top 5 were 2P10.
Really?
Yeah, that's surprising.
That is surprising.
I was absolutely blown away by that. And then number 6 was 5-minute epoxy. Number 7 was my homemade hide glue. And then we get into a few other epoxies. But Gorilla Glue was way, way, way down the list.
Really?
I never liked that stuff. I tried using it once, and I'm like, this is terrible. It's just
cheap super glue you buy at the dollar store beat out Gorilla Glue.
Well, the thing with Gorilla Glue is it's so overkill. Like, no matter what you're doing, like, you're gonna get it everywhere. It gets all over the place.
Now Gorilla Glue has the 2 different. They've got their PVA glue, and then they've got their other one that's the foaming.
Yeah, no, I just tried the poly. I didn't try the PVA because I wasn't trying to pit brand against brand, so I didn't have multiple brands of PVA. I'll be doing that in the future, but I just want to kind of get a broad overview of different types of glue in this one.
Okay.
The other interesting one was exterior. So I'm thinking, Titebond 3 would do well, and all of the Titebonds were horrible. Titebond 3 barely registered on the test.
For which test?
The exterior.
Huh.
Yeah, my homemade hide glue actually did better than Titebond 3.
Wow.
By a tiny margin, but a little bit better. And then, 3M 5200, which is a marine glue. It's designed for boats. That was about halfway down the list.
Huh.
I was not impressed.
I wonder how like egg glue would work.
Well, the interesting thing is, number 1 on the list was 2P10 gel. Number 2 on the list was the cheap super glue from the dollar store. Number 3 and number 4 were also 2P10, and then West System, and then 2P10.
Huh.
All of the
did you use normal Elmer's glue, like the white paste stuff?
Yeah.
How did that fare?
Elmer's white craft glue actually did better in the water test than Titebond 3.
Huh. Interesting.
By half a pound.
I've heard there's some people out there that swear by like just the regular old Elmer's.
Yeah, in all my tests, it performed just as well, if not better, than Titebond 2, and Titebond 1 is right around Titebond 2 in some of them.
Huh. Interesting. All right.
So there's a lot of really interesting data in this one that I'm blown away by. But the biggest one for me was long grain to long grain. The most common glue joint. What do you think held up the best?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I was reading the comments.
What was it?
Long grain to long grain. The top glue on the list was cheap super glue.
Wow.
It held up significantly more than any of the epoxies. Though the next up were the East Coast Resin and West System. And then right behind that, really close on our heels, was Titebond 2, Titebond 3. So it's...
That's interesting, because a lot of people...
All the epoxies and CAs, I in every single test, they performed phenomenally.
Huh. Okay, I'm glued out.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though.
That's surprising to me, though. Because a lot of people use clamping calls for, like, miter joints. And they just put it on with CA glue, and then they knock it off later with a mallet. But I've never tried it, so that's interesting.
Well, there's differences in CA glues because, like, especially with 2P10, you can get it in thick, thin, and gel, and the thin rarely did anything. The thin was very, very weak and would snap off almost instantly. But if you get the thicker or the gel, they set into the wood better, and they became seriously strong.
So, quick question regarding what's your guys' take on clamping pressure? Because I remember when I first started, I used to, like, when I first started gluing stuff up, I'm sure I overclamped the crap out of everything. And then when I'd let it out, it would, like, I found that, like, just actually less clamping pressure is usually less than what you think is better in my experience. But you guys probably do a lot more of that than I do nowadays. So
I found that clamping pressure, people make a big deal about it, but it's not quite as important. I don't believe that you can starve a joint by squeezing the glue out. That's not how wood works. But I don't. Number one, I don't think people need to put as much pressure on as they think. Yeah. But number two, they don't need to put. It works with very little pressure too.
Yeah, I've found that like when I was doing a lot of tables and stuff, I found my glue ups were a lot better when I'd use a good amount, enough to say, oh, that's tight, but without like trying to get as much as possible out of it. When I first started,
close the joint, but don't.
You can form. Yeah, I think you can actually kind of slightly deform the joint if you overclamp, and then when you take that pressure off, from the clamps.
So I think a properly jointed joint, so two dead flat, well, you can get into a lot of, like you can start talking about sprung joints and things like that. But I think properly jointed boards, if you clamp them enough to where you have a tight glue line, what looks like you've closed any kind of gap, that's as tight as you need to get, because as soon as you start really cramping down on it hard, even with, you know, putting clamps on the top and the bottom, it'll start to bow up and and like give your whole tabletop a bow.
Well, I mean, I think you want enough pressure, like you said, to make a good solid joint. But I mean, if you think about it as, I mean, everything is ductile. Everything has like its natural resting happy spot. You know, if you think of it as like a spring, if you try and force it into shape during the glue up, as soon as you let the clamps out, it's going to, even though the glue might be enough to hold it for a while, it's still going to want to return back to where it is. So I think, like you said, if everything's joined properly, then you shouldn't need much pressure. So, yes, that's my philosophy anyway.
And I guess when I started woodworking, you know, my joints, you know, I wasn't as, that's probably good enough, you know, and then there'd be gaps and stuff, and I'd try to clamp out the gaps, and, you know, that's where things started getting not as perfect. Yeah. But now I spend more time on my, you know, stock preparation and makes my glue ups less stressful. Because I'm sure anyone who's done any kind of woodworking when you first start has done that frantic run around the shop trying to grab clamps and glue, try to wipe up glue. And then
start, I thought that's every glue up.
I'm pretty low stress with tabletop glue ups these days, but my first couple were like, ah.
Yeah. Well, that's a quick overview of the glue test, and I'll have a lot more result. There are a bunch of other things that were really, really surprising to me in it. So if you want to see that, I'll have that video on my channel. And if you're watching live, that will be out tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I had this week is I did a video on answering questions about card scrapers, because I had a whole bunch of I did videos a while ago on sharpening a card scraper and making your own card scraper out of an old saw plate. But a lot of questions about, you know, how thick should your plate be? Is there any particular type of steel for the plate? Is there any particular type of rod for burnishing? And then also talking about different types of plates for the cabinet scrapers, and showing off some of my favorite card scrapers, as well as my brand new DFM card scraper. Have you guys seen DFM?
Nope.
On YouTube. He's making these card scrapers, and they have the blue. I don't know if it's blue Dicom on them still.
Dicom blue, yeah.
But they're really cool. He does laser etching in them, and I love them.
I wonder how long until like somebody makes a Damascus card scraper and it goes viral on YouTube, and then I just get angry.
Alex Steele,
yeah.
Collaboration.
You know. Everything has to be Damascus, otherwise it's not metal. If it's not, it's junk.
Yeah, I kind of got over Damascus.
I've never really been. I mean, I understand, like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but like, I think it's like, I feel like Damascus is the river table of metalworking. It's just like, there's other stuff out there that's cool too, you know? Yeah, I mean, the idea and the technique is cool, but I think sometimes it's like, you know, it's like having a leopard print couch. Sometimes it can be kind of naughty. It's like the idea and the process is cool, but sometimes it's too much, I think.
Yeah. I like have you guys seen any of the meteorite stuff?
Yeah.
Like people making metal work out of meteorites.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Well, we actually have a couple questions from the audience here. You guys want to hit those?
Yeah.
What is something you find getting going? Ah!
I think there's a typo in there from the original question. I'm not exactly sure.
What is something you find going to get that is not a tool that you use all the time?
I thought it was a riddle.
Okay, wait. Let me. I'm gonna try and. Is this posted in our chat? I'll try and.
Yeah.
What is something that you want to get that is not a tool you would use all the time?
Oh, okay. I feel like I need a second to answer these. I'm not very quick.
I feel like it's like, what do you use all the time that's not a tool?
I think the question. See, I think what it means. my interpretation is, what's a tool that you would like to have that you probably wouldn't use that often? Like kind of novelty tool that would just be cool, but you probably wouldn't use very much.
The best answer to that is the compass plane. It looks awesome. It is a fantastic tool to have. It is so much fun, but there's really not that many times when you need it.
Man, that's a tough question. I'm not good on the spot.
I'm thinking.
Me too. It's a problem.
Yeah, I tried to think, but nothing happened.
It usually comes down to some weird jig.
I don't like jigs. They just take up space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I got nothing.
I mean, I guess I only think of tools that I would use, so it's kind of hard for me to come up with like tools that I would like that I wouldn't use very often.
So that's the easy part for me, because all my tools are arrayed on the wall. I can just look over the wall. It's like, I haven't used that one in a while. I haven't used that one in a while.
I feel like there's like hand tool versus power tool, and like some things like replace each other. But I was just talking to Joshua Farnsworth about this, who started the Wood and Shop School, where he has different instructors coming in to teach classes like Cinco de Mayo. They're teaching a class on making hand saws. And so, the veil that he puts up is that it's a hand tool woodworking school. But if you turn around and look at the other half of his shop, he's got all these power tools, band saws and power jointers and things like that. And I was talking to him, and he was saying that, oh, hang on, guys. Okay. All right. Let's get you something. Yeah, you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Well, I still got nothing. I've been thinking about this for like a minute now. All I can think of, I have like a block. All I can think about is things that I would actually use.
Well, I think you still use them, but you just don't use them that often. They're the tool that you pick up once a year or so.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel I do all my like edge joining with hand planes. So I'd like to have a power joiner, but I'm sure I would use it all the time. So that's not really a good answer. Like if I had it, I would use it. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a really like, no, I already have that. Never mind. I don't know. This is hard.
Every time I think of something, I'm like, no, I do use that. Like,
well, I don't think it's something you don't use, but something you don't use that often, like, once a year.
Sharpening stones.
Maybe like a dial indicator.
Those are handy. Yeah, that's a good answer. I have one of those, but that's a perfect answer.
I would think that all my molding planes. I have an entire shelf of molding planes that I may use some of them, and some of them I may never use.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good answer. Like my plow plane is a great answer, but I use that like once or twice a year. But I already have that, so I'm gonna go with like some sort of molding plane, like a rabbit plane or something. That's my answer.
All right, well, then sticking with dial indicator.
Yeah, the duck has a second question, and I love the name Theduck. It's what's his name? I can't remember his actual name, but yeah, it's a play on it. I like it. Is there anything you would like to change about how you got to where you are now as a creator or off of YouTube, on or off of YouTube? Yeah, I don't know if I could say that I would. I don't know where I would change where I'm currently at. I absolutely love where I'm currently at and what I'm currently doing. Yes, I would like to have, more subscribers and bigger numbers, but that's life. Everything grows. I don't know what I would change though.
I think it's all relative. Like, I don't know if I would change anything and get to where it's all a learning process. Like a lot of people ask me like, if you knew then what you know now, and it took everything kind of leading up to now to get to where I am. So, I mean, just making stuff and learning and growing my skill set and making videos and listening to people in the comments who maybe are, more experienced than me or have done it for, a long time, and why would you do it this way and when you could do it this way? And I'd go, oh well, I never thought of that. That sounds like a great idea, and then make a follow-up video. That's tough, and like it's totally relative. Like I'm probably going to cross 30,000 subscribers today. I think I'm
nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think I'm within like 25 subscribers to crossing 30,000. But I wasn't as excited about 30,000 as I was about 10,000, because 10,000 was like this crazy milestone.
That's a whole new order of magnitude. You're getting an extra digit there.
Yeah. And so like when I crossed 20,000, I was like, okay, that's cool. And I did a concert video, and then now I'm like, yeah, I'm going on vacation. Like whatever.
I think if I look back at all the videos I've created, there are a lot of them that I look at now and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I said that. That's horrible. I don't do that.
You can make glue out of pretty much any body part.
But I mean, I don't take those videos down. I keep them up because I want people to see the progression, because I've documented every video of my hand tool journey from the time I picked up my first hand plane. So you can see how anyone can grow, anyone can learn that, anyone can pick up the skill. Yes, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but it's just part of the journey. And if you're always trying to hide and get rid of your mistakes, then you're not learning.
And I think that people appreciate that. Like I get people that tell me all the time that their favorite video of mine was the kitchen helper stool video that I made. Like so many mistakes and things just kept going wrong, and I showed it and I made a play on it, and I kind of made the video about fixing the mistakes and drinking. And people tell me all the time, they're like, that video was my absolute favorite because you showed that you were like a real human and you weren't just trying to hide mistakes in your videos, and that mistakes do happen, and this is how you learn how to fix them. So yeah, I don't know if that I was kind of piggybacking off of your thing, and now nobody's talking.
I think for me, like I can't really, like you said, James, I'm really happy with where I'm at. So it's hard for me to say I'd change anything, because maybe I wouldn't be where I'm at. But a few things. I mean, I wish I would have started it a little bit earlier. I feel like, I do feel like I got in at a good time before it was completely saturated, and that helped. But a little bit earlier would have been nice. And I wish that my recording, I wish I would have been more mindful of my production earlier on. Those are really the only two things. Because now I look back at my earlier videos and I'm like, man, I should have put a little bit more effort into capturing the process. But
I would feel the same about my video quality. But part of it is actually learning how to do that better.
It's true. And
I don't think it would be wise to wait on creating the channel until my video quality was better.
Yeah, I mean, you learn through the process. I mean, it's an evolution. So
yeah,
obviously, if you haven't recorded yourself doing a video, you still
best way to learn is to throw it up there.
Exactly. So
yeah, I guess
that's one of the great things is you don't have many subscribers at the beginning, so there's not a problem of.
So I guess what I'm saying is just I wish that I were better earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess me learning, being better at my audio levels in my video, like in the balance of my voiceover versus the music versus clipping versus tool noise, and I'm getting better and better with every video on that. But if I look at my older videos, I thought were so awesome and so Casey Neistat, and now I look at them and I'm just like, oh, they're so bad.
That is a surprisingly hard thing to master, is audio levels. It's something you think that you just naturally should have an eye for. Everyone knows what things sound like, but it's different.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the Creators Photo Challenge.
Let's do it.
For those of you who don't know what this is, we're doing every other week, or in this case, every third week. We'll have the Creators Photo Challenge on Instagram.
We'll get through this together, buddy.
Yes. All you have to do is post up a picture that follows the guidelines for this particular one. And every other week, we will pick a winner. and send them something. So Zach sent a shirt out. Will, what did you send out this last week?
I still need to send out, but a hand turned. Obviously, it's hand turned, but a turned bowl. One of my bowls that I turned.
Cool. And this week, I am actually going to send out a set of chisels. I have an extra set of chisels that I have here, so I figured that would be a cool prize.
Wow.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Way to make us feel like losers there.
Yeah. Yeah, the prizes keep getting better and better.
They're the
Aldi challenge, and all I got is this crappy shirt. That's my reward.
They're the Aldi's chisels. They don't cost me that much, but they're the same chisels that I use on my bench. So yeah. So Zach, who are your 2 picks?
I really wish I could have had 3, but I have to go with Sean Rubino for one of mine. It's hilarious.
Well, tell us what Sean Rubino's picture looks like.
No. Well, I mean, I can only assume what's really going on there. It's classic. It's pretty much Sean with a domino, it looks like, and an apron, and only an apron. It's good. It made me laugh. So.
He's been hanging around Kyle Toth too much.
Apparently, yeah. It's a great picture. My second one is going to be Prescription Tusks. He looks like a nightstand, and it's completely silhouetted against like kind of everything else is like you can make out the details and stuff, but just the way he got the nightstand perfectly, so like perfectly black. There's no detail at all, and everything else has detail. It's just really cool lighting. It's really moody, which I like. And I have to give a shout out to the Wooden Weekends. It's just a black and white picture of him using a crosscut circular saw, and it's one of the things that I liked about it is like the wood grain is like perfectly like radial to the blade. So it's just he said he didn't even realize that until he took the picture, but it's really cool looking. So yeah.
So cool. What you got, Will?
Well, I have my number 1 top is Barefoot Finn. It's a photo of multiple racks of nail gun nails, but it's just full of texture and flow. It's just, I mean, it's
very eye-catching.
Yeah, it's a beautiful photo. Like it's just like it could be like my computer background.
I'd love to see that one blown up to like 6 foot by 6 foot.
I feel like it's one of those things where if you like cross your eyes and uncross them, like there's gonna be a unicorn in it.
Yeah, do they still make those
unicorns?
No, the 3D image posters.
I don't know. I haven't seen those since like grade school.
Sure you can order them online.
I haven't seen them since the advent of like the smartphone, because kids are never gonna like, well, what, I get 3D right here on my phone.
But I was good at those. I felt special as a kid because I could always figure those things out.
You should be proud of that. That's
that's a skill.
I had a gift.
And look where you are now.
And I just completely squandered it.
And my second one was also the Wooden Weekends. The concentric, well, the growth rings, just like Zach was saying, they mirror the radius of the blade. And knowing that he didn't do that on purpose kind of disappoints me, but it still I thought it was extremely creative, very cool, even if you did do it on accident. So those are my 2.
Cool. Well, I've got Justin Limoges.
Limoges? Yes. He's in the live chat. We can ask.
Ooh, yes. Hey, Justin, how do you pronounce your name?
Spell that. It's probably phonetic. I don't know.
But he has this picture of the close-up of teeth on a handsaw. And I don't know why I like those detailed close-up things that you see all the time, but you don't actually get close enough to see the detail in it. Really cool picture.
That was definitely a runner-up for me. Honorable mention.
But my second choice was also the Woodworks Weekends with the circular saw. I know I'm a hand tool person, but I really like the circular saw. I think that the thing that drew me to it is that it wasn't dead on the growth rings. It was ever so slightly off. It was off by like a half inch. So it wasn't perfect, and your brain is just wanting to push the circular saw a little farther, so it adds a little bit of action to it. I really liked it.
All right, so I guess we have a clear winner.
Yes, so the Woodworks Weekends, I will be
the wooden weekends.
The wooden. Why did I want to put works in there? The wooden weekends. I will be in touch with you and get you a set of chisels. So
yeah. So congratulations, Ian Smith.
Yeah. So Will, why don't
every
you
time
tell
I
us
hear the
about
wooden weekends, I get that Loverboy song stuck in my head. I don't know why. Working for the weekends. I don't know why. Every time. It's been like 3 podcasts now. Just in my head.
All right. So Justin replied, it's French. So it's hard to type out. So we still don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's French.
Limoges.
Limoges? Yeah.
Limoges.
Limoges?
Sounds about right.
Join us next week while we try and pronounce people's names live chat for 50 minutes.
So
all right, so the next
photo challenge.
The next photo challenge. The next photo challenge is going to be leading lines, which, if you study any kind of photography, it is one of the compositional elements that you first learn. Oh, sorry, I got another visitor. Hang on, Morgan.
I can make stuff up.
Okay. All right, let's talk about it together. All right. So leading lines. So a leading line would come from maybe the corner of an image and draw your eye to the subject. A big example of this when you're first starting photography would be like railroad tracks, standing in the middle of railroad tracks, and they kind of go on and on and on forever to the vanishing point. And it draws your eye down the tracks to whatever you want. So a lot of photographers will put a couple in the middle of the railroad tracks, and the railroad tracks will actually lead your eye to the couple. So I can see a lot of applications with this in your shop. There are a lot of straight lines, a lot of long lines, whether it's your workbench or a piece of stock wood, a jointer, a hand plane, a tape measure.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Doesn't like it. So that's this week's or this time's challenge.
Cool.
Okay.
So you'll have 2 weeks to get that in. Although if you're listening to this live, you actually have 3 weeks to get that in, because this won't be coming out until next week. So
good.
Let's we've had enough jokes for the joke of the week. Let's move on. I'll tell you what. I'll kick off what we watching, reading, or inspired by. I saw a new channel created by Kay.
Outside and get my shirt dry.
Created by Kay is a new channel, and he just put out a video that is kind of like off the charts awesome. He's making a clamp that is it's kind of like the all-in-one clamp. So it has the toggle knob that you can get for like a parallel clamp. It also has a squeeze clamp grip underneath. It's got all these other functions, and it's completely shop made. Really, really cool system. Easily slides in and out, and I'm wanting to make a set of them myself. He has plans on his website, and it's his first video, and it's a really sweet video. So definitely worth checking out. Zack, what you got?
Where's our chat window? There it is. Okay. I don't watch. I'm reading the same book still, but I was watching some Paul Jackman videos. He's awesome. So yeah, watch Paul Jackman. Yes. You probably already do. But I have a miter set project coming up where I have to do some segmenting, and he has a video on that. So I watched it and watched a couple other of his videos as well. So
yeah. Paul's a cool guy.
Yeah. What about you, Will?
I So I just saw this yesterday. It was awesome. It is Nick Offerman, and he is captioning New Yorker cartoons.
Yes.
And I can't even explain it. You just have to know it's Nick Offerman being Nick Offerman. And New Yorker cartoons are pretty highbrow, and sometimes they're a little over the top and pompous. But you have to imagine a New Yorker cartoon and Nick Offerman being Nick Offerman, staring at it, describing what's going on in the scene, and then captioning it. You have to watch it. It's hilarious. And it's actually a pretty cool series. I think there's 4 other ones. Bill Hader did one. Adam Scott did one, and somebody else.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what I got.
Well, product of the week, Zach, what you got?
I'm gonna say my little. I've used this one before, but I use it a lot, and that's why it's my tool of the week. It is just a 90-degree pneumatic die grinder. Use them for all sorts of stuff, especially when you're doing, any sort of metal work. They're handy. They're pretty much angle grinders, but much smaller, so you can get them into tighter places, and they're very, very handy to have. So That's my tool of the week.
Great for polishing too.
They are the little tiny those. I love the little. I think they're called roll-lock. They're just like big threaded things in the center, so you can literally change a pad in like 5 seconds without any tools or anything. And their little abrasive pads are really, really nice. You get a good finish on stuff.
We used to go through those like nuts at the place I managed. So
yeah, they're great.
Extremely useful. Will, what you got?
I'm gonna say my circular saw, my 7 1/4 inch Makita circular saw. I've been using it a lot, breaking down that walnut stock. They were like 14-foot boards. So I took them outside and broke them down out there into more manageable pieces instead of trying to like swing 14-foot boards around in my shop.
You just want to duplicate that picture.
What's that?
You just want to duplicate that picture.
Yeah, right. And been using a lot in framing up my basement as I'm finishing that. And circular saws, a lot of people ask me if they want to get into something, get into woodworking or, DIY or making things, what tool should you buy? I say a circular saw and a cordless drill are like, and a tape measure.
Maybe a jigsaw.
I still dislike jigsaws.
Really?
Oh. Yeah.
Jigsaws get no love. It's like the tool that everyone loves to hate, and I still think they're fantastic.
I love jigsaws. They're just
they're not as nice
as down sheets of plywood with a jigsaw.
Yeah. I used to cut metal. Like I'd cut like 1/8-inch steel plates with that thing. Like that's before I had a plasma cutter. I did everything with a jigsaw, and it was terrible, but it worked. So, I feel like the jigsaw is never the best tool for the job, but it is a great tool to get the job done, and it'll do a lot of jobs. So,
they definitely have their place, and there's some jobs that you just can't do without them.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're James, I guess you can do it without them, but and I do have them. They do have their place in my shop. I just always look for a different tool to use before I reach for it.
Like I said, it's usually the versatility is what gets me, and they're cheap. Obviously, if you have a bandsaw, that's and your material will work on it, that's typically the better route to go. But if you're starting up, or you if you need to add curves to stuff and you don't have $700 or $1,000 for a bandsaw, and $120 for a jigsaw is pretty awesome.
I still think a circular saw is a better first tool than a jigsaw.
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So that's mine.
You can start making stuff with a circular saw and a drill. I think it's
I don't know. I kind of come at it from the standpoint of a handsaw is a jigsaw, and so for me, I think the jigsaw would be better for the first saw. But
I just think getting accurate square cuts is easier on a circular saw than a jigsaw, and I think the cut quality is better. I think it's a less frustrating tool with a learning curve.
I'm just saying, if you have to have one tool, I would rather have a jigsaw than a circular saw.
I I would rather have the circular saw. But you know what? Like they're both. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
The
not.
price that you can buy them now for like $20-$30. Why not get both?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
that's true.
think. I mean, I know a lot of people don't have a ton of money, but I mean, you should be able to work your way into both of those tools. I mean, you can get all three of them for a couple $100.
Yeah, and decent ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my pick for the week is actually cheap super glue. You know, those packs you can buy at the dollar store for like $1 for 10. Basically because I was absolutely blown away by how well it did in the tests. And particularly, I was not expecting as much of a difference between different thicknesses of glue. And the cheap super glue I had was a fairly thick, not quite a gel, but a very thick super glue. And the thicker the super glue is, the stronger it was by far.
It's funny. I would have expected the opposite.
Now the thinner glue it's so thin that it doesn't
gets brittle or something.
Yeah, it spreads itself out too much, whereas the thicker glue just fills in everything, but still soaks into the wood like the thin glue does.
Huh. Interesting.
So I was blown away by it, and I'm actually going to be using 2P10 and other super glues far more often in my woodworking now. It was enough to clearly convince me. So that's about it. Want to say thank you to everyone watching, particularly those in the live chat. If you would like to join us, we are usually live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 Central, though this week is a little bit different. And I'm looking forward to being back live the next time.
Yeah, this is so when this airs, I will be in Indianapolis with Jimmy DeResta. Him and I are taking a hydraulic forging press class and a smithing class there. So I'll probably actually just be landing when this thing goes live. But keep your eyes on my Instagram because I'll probably have some good stuff going on there.
Woot woot. So that's about it for this week. Until next time, see you later.
Later.
Adios.